Hello, welcome to Being Reintegrated. My name is Tim Wright. And, now we're in 2025, and I'm excited to show that Chem Publishing is up and going. This is the publishing arm that we originally created for Illuminism books. What happened was when I was doing researching one day, I realized, oh my God, there's books that I need that are not available. So what I did is I went out and learned how to make them, and now through being reintegrated and the Cohen Research Channel, what has happened, well, the Ella Cohen Research Channel, what has happened is people are asking about the books and they're not really available as an easy page because I don't want to like just make a website for the sake of vanity. So we do a lot of Facebook marketing. So what I wanted to do was show you the Facebook page. Now go and like the page, definitely check out the Patreon because all of these efforts make the publishing, your publishing for Illuminism larger and larger. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and disappear over into the down there. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and bring up the actual video here of the window that I got going on, which is Chem Publishing's website. There we go. Okay, sorry. This video should show you an overview of what we got going on here at the publishing arm. So there you see it's Chem Publishing. We're going to go ahead and just go to this main window right here, and I'm going to scroll through it. So what has happened recently is that the Cohen instructions, what was originally available on Lulu, has been reformatted for Kindle. One of the reasons why these books have not been available is because they're expensive and they're limited to one publisher pretty much. And that publisher only releases paperback books. So we're trying to make them more affordable and more accessible to a digital community. The new commentary on Abbé Fournier is here, so you can see that. And also, I was announcing to people that Cohen Instructions was coming to Kindle. This was when Fournier went to Kindle. The Red Book has been put onto Kindle as well. Now, we translated the Red Book for the first time. It was the Lyons and the Solesme fund that we translated and made available for a very, very reasonable price. For paperback, it's $15. And for Kindle, it's only $10. So you'll have a Kindle version that's searchable if you don't want the pocket reference version. Here's a goal. We're going to go ahead and let this be known. Once you subscribe to Being Reintegrated or buy any of the books, we're working on putting together a massive publication effort, which is a journal that we're going to purchase all the orders or all the issues, and then we are going to go ahead and start publishing those journal articles with commentary and contextualization. The ninth book of Chem Publishing is The Echoes of Emotion. That's the somnambulistic texts of the 18th century. Now, this was a paperback book. What happened is we released it just this last month, and what happened is it's consisting of Emile Durkheim's second part of the Les Sommes book, which is on the somnambulistic society of Mesmer, Willermoz, Monspe, all of them. So you're seeing the actual records from April, I believe it is, of 1780s. And you're seeing the actual records, the unknown An unknown emulator has translated them pseudonymously for us, so they have been published along with Alice Jolie's study that came in a really rare Amadou Jolie book that I got to borrow from the library and translate for us. So we have an English version of Alice Jolie's study on the unknown agent. I'm gonna drink coffee too. Um, so what essentially has happened is everybody has, you know, taken up the mantle of lechose. It's the number one phenomena of the Elucoan. So everybody thinks it's about something that it's really not. What lechose essentially was that we learn in Amadou's lecture, which is available to members of the Order des Coens Ressuscite. You can email at resurrectedcoens@gmail.com, and one of our representatives in the order will get a hold of you. I think it's a great group, studying, researching, active members who are totally open to new ideas, new structure. So this hasn't happened previously to these efforts. Lechose, Lachose, or the thing, has been turned into a kind of mystical experience for the individual seeking the truth and reality of the Elucoan beyond its organizational leaders. So what happened is lechose has turned into kind of a state rather than an actual experience, which they were having. Now, this has been called the unknown agent by the somnambulistic experimenters of the 18th century. So what I did is I studied and studied and studied and was working with one of the leading translators in another publishing house, and they decided they didn't want to pick up the lectures of Monspi due to whatever. They're pretty scattered, and Alice Jolie tells us that in the study. Jolly, jolly old Jolie. So we got that, and then next, this was the announcement of Echoes of Emotion. Now this is sacramental philosophy. Now this book, I'm still doubting on whether or not it should be released to the public. It might just be a work that is only available internally to the Order des Coens Ressuscite. The reason why is because it walks you through all of the grades up until the Rocroi degree. It's not like grade by grade, but what it does is it gives you a gigantic overview from internal documents and internal sources on the psychology, the dynamics of the experience as you're going through the grades, what the original intention was, and some of the original forms that are so nuanced unless you understand French and you understand what you're reading in English from French, you kind of can't get it. I mean, if you study it, you'll be able to get it. And so, good job. But that may be only internal. Now, KhemPublishing has released also The Man of Desire. The Lulu publications are The Man of Desire. So Saint Martin published his books under the patronage of Willemos. So Man of Desire is like his poetical works of reflection on his period of Cohen education and instruction. It's not so much the spirit of the things, which I'll show you in a moment, but these are available on Lulu. So Man of Desire is available on Lulu. We have the Spiritual Exercises of Daniel Kramer, which is on Amazon. Now, what this is, you'll read in Gerard Guindet's new book, The Figures of Illuminism. what you'll read about this mode that the Coens originally had, which was you don't use your brain to try to figure everything out. You have to take in your experience of your subjectivity. That's why Echoes of Emotion is called The Journey Through Subjective Realms, because what's happening is you're opening up to the trance-like state that the subjective will inevitably bring on. So we're looking at that. And then also what happens is this was what's called the pericope. In priestly traditions, they have a pericope, which is a reading kind of cycle that goes through the liturgical year. Well, this is a Gnostic and esoteric pericope. So I've included in the spiritual exercises of Daniel Kramer not only all the images of Daniel Kramer, which were not included in prior editions by other publishers, but all 100 of them are here. So you'll be able to look through them. There's a translation of each one of the images. And on the right-hand side, there's a pericope for world spirituality. You'll be able to go through the Bhagavad Gita. You'll be able to go through the Tao Te Ching. You'll be able to go through the Corpus Hermeticum. You'll be able to read some of Rumi's texts. It's also been corrected with works from Meister Eckhart and a little bit of an overview of Jesuit spirituality and the practices of what were called the devotee. So what we learned through Jung's book of the Eth Institute, which has never been released, it was never re-released. It was released a long time ago, and I was fortunate enough to get a copy from a bookstore in Berkeley. I bought the used books, rare books, and then I studied them because they were in English. And I have now included a kind of one-size-fits-all devotee kind of manual on the spiritual exercises, which were originally Jesuit practices that came from the devotee. So I opened up the pericope to everybody in all traditions, including Gnostics. So we used Dr. Louis S. Kaiser, who was not only a perpetuator and popularizer of the Western mystery tradition, having taken in the Gnostic tradition of Duke de Palatine as a successor to them and George Boyer's official successor. But also, he was an Episcopal bishop. So he had also carried apostolic succession from the episcopacy. And we have his study, very good biblical study, on the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas. Now, this is not like other commentaries on Thomas. This is an actual biblical study on Thomas. So it goes through each one of the Logion, which is what they're called, the Logion and the Gospel of Thomas, and every one of them is associated in a general way with image and spiritual exercises with Daniel Kramer images. So we got that. I'm pretty happy to have that available because, when I first got into another order of esotericists, we wanted to produce this, but it's too exorbitantly expensive to have publishers do this kind of work. So if you don't self-publish, it won't get made. The next one is the Red Book, translated by the unknown emulator. I call him the unknown emulator, but he's an unknown emulator, being more anonymous, more general, more open to, the participant in these Illuminist volumes. So we have that. We have Abbe Fournier's study. Now, this was never done before. In the book that you could probably go buy of the same name, Abbé Fournier or Pierre Fournier. I'm not going to really mention anything, but what we've done is an unknown emulator has translated the entire book and made it available for free on the Cohen Codex, which the Order des Cohens Ressuscités, the Order of the Resurrected Cohen, has provided for free. It won't be a subscription site in anytime in the near future unless Slim Wiki gets all crazy and makes us pay for a subscription. Then, of course, that has to be given to the person enthused. So I don't have to absorb, or the order doesn't have to absorb all the cost. KhemPublishing is the book publishing arm of the Resurrected Order of the Cohens, and Illuminism in English. So we're working on something pretty special here. So thanks for your support. That's why we're doing a one-time overview of all of the books up to 2025. So anybody will be able to see this. The next is The Spirit of Things, Volume 1 and 2. That was originally mentioned by Nicole Lefebvre in her study on Saint-Martin. Now, she did an excellent study, which was released in France by Dervy. Dervy released this book, and I bought it through Amazon, got it here, got it bound. I like to comb bind my books, so they're comb bound, and I've gone through that and found that we have The Spirit of Things, Volume 1 and 2, that was never translated. So what we did is we went out and got it translated, published, and now it's in 2 volumes. Since French reduces considerably from its gigantic verbal representation, it turned from a 700-page 2-volume series into a little bit over 400 pages. So we have volumes 1 and 2 of The Spirit of Things. More coffee. Now, what The Spirit of Things is it's an amazing presentation by Saint-Martin, not in his other works on, the cycle of man and his experience of fall and reintegration. What The Spirit of Things is after man has fallen, this is kind of the markers and methods by which innately, naturally, as Saint-Martin would call it, the human being, not man, l'homme, can reintegrate. So you don't need any special, BOGO stick. You don't need any special ordination. All you need is to adapt yourself to this philosophical view that Saint-Martin is talking about in The Spirit of Things. So I translated volume 1 and 2 with the unknown emulator. And, this is KhemPublishing. We have all these books. There's 9 of them that you can go pick up. I will put in this video a link to all the volumes. Now, what I didn't do is in Cohen Instructions, this was a book on Lulu that I'm pretty proud of. And the reason why is Cohen Instructions originally was part of the posthumous works, and I'll tell you what's involved in it. So I originally got some feedback on the Cohen Instructions, and I was told the text was too small because I felt like cheating people in publishing was not what I wanted to do. So I put as much material as I possibly could into a book with very small text, not wanting to rip people off. This was the very first publication of KhemPublishing. I didn't want to rip anybody off. So it was a massive book with all kinds of material in it. Well, I got feedback that the text was too small, it was unreadable, I didn't know what I was doing. So that individual, I got it one time out of all the people that have bought the book. And, you know, we're a small publisher for Illuminism. So, again, thanks for your support. They said, I don't like this book. I want my money back. And, you know, no qualms. I said, thanks for the feedback. Here's your money, and keep the book as a, gesture of gratitude for basically bringing something to my attention I didn't know. So anybody that wants to do that, if you want to be an editor, go ahead and do so. That is available to you. If it's found to be a finding, like I worked for banking for a long time, and what we had were findings. If something comes up and somebody gives you feedback, and it's valuable feedback, all feedback is welcome and valuable. If you don't like the way something is, we will consider it. And at Chem Publishing, since it's an independent, non-corporate owned entity, which we pride ourselves on, you can go ahead and you can actually give feedback that will be implemented. So send a message on Facebook, come check us out, follow us, and if you like any of the books, pick one up. But the Cohen Instructions was a very special book. And the reason why is because it has the treatise of benedictions. Now, I've been a big advocate for the treatise of benedictions, or the treatise of blessings, for a long time. Because what this text essentially does, it was posthumously made, so Saint Martin wrote it. It's an instructional text to Eloquens on any prayers that you're going to do. It Cohenizes every prayer and the blessings that come from prayers. As you'll read, and I believe it's 96 series of Leon lessons that were included in my favorite version, which is the Order Martinis Souverain's version of the Lessons of Leon. It's one of the most complete books I've ever seen and had the privilege to read. Not only is the inline commentary extremely helpful, but it has the ordering by Amadou and additional posthumous works that were found by Cat Amadou from a Flamel? No, not Flamel. There's a, I can't remember everything off the top of my head. Flandrin. R8018 Flandrin document. I was going to mess that up with Flanders from The Simpsons, so glad I got that right. R8018, which included not only a new copy of the Treatise of Reintegration of Beings, which was not consulted and the most popular, but which George Quartz knew about, and Gerard Guindet did a great commentary on the Treatise of Reintegration of Beings. So I stopped doing my commentary on the Treatise of Reintegration of Beings because Guindet did such a great job. And it was given the Francois Voir award for its just masterful detail for the Treatise of Reintegration of Beings. So anyway, R8018 was composed of a version that was numbered like Amadou's version, which he got from the Saint Martin manuscript that he found. And it contained different numbering than the Saint Martin version of the Treatise of Reintegration of Beings. But in that manuscript collection, they call them fonds, there included 3 unpublished Lyons lectures that Cat Amadou, after Robert Amadou's passing, had published in Renaissance Traditionnelle. So those were made available by the Order Martinis Souverains, and it's an excellent book. I would highly recommend go to Lulu and pick it up. I may add a link in there. Anyway, back to Cohen Instructions. It has the Treatise of Blessings, and then it has the Treatise on Admiration. Now, I got reference to these texts when I was studying Dominique Clarambeau's book, or not book, but his website, which is really difficult to get anything off of because it's all text text restricted and copyrighted. So good job, Dominique Clarambeau. And it's in French. So luckily we can Google Translate it and see a little bit of what it says. But Dominique Clarambeau is another scholar in French Illuminism, which is basically Elucoan teachings. It's really not Martinist, it's more Elucoan. So these Illuminists got it down. The Treatise of Admiration is kind of what Saint-Martin is talking about in general in his natural philosophy of the spirit of things. But that's included in the Cohen instructions, along with my analysis of every one of the sections, which I sectioned off using AI to find natural breaks in the text. So we have that. Next, a decade ago, I learned the Treatise on Communications was another text that Dominique Clarambeau brought to my attention. I don't remember where he found it, but he said that this was basically Saint-Martin's commentary on those who do theurgy. So it's really good. It has some warnings in it. It's a little bit advisory, but so that was included in the Cohen instructions. Now, there's more text because I did my studying, I did my homework. I went out and got them from the French libraries myself, got them translated, and included them. The next book is the Treatise on Forms. Now, this is mentioned in Piers Vaughan's Of Errors and Truth, and said that it was unpublished, it was uncompleted by Amadou. I went to the library, well, not the library, but I contacted the Grenoble library, and they sent me images of it. So thankfully, they provided images on the Treatise of Forms, which was 4121, I believe. And I had it translated, sectioned, and then it's in this book as well. So we finally have the Treatise of Forms, which is kind of Saint-Martin's work on the substructure of nature as he analyzed it. He just called it the Treatise on Forms, which is probably the Treatise on Things, but he had a book called The Spirit of Things. So, that's for what it's worth. There are additional teachings that Dominique Clarambeau said were not part of the core Cohen teachings. So those instructional texts are part one. Part two includes the guide for the instructions of wisdom, and then a new translations of instruction on wisdom. Now, I found what people said were complete were available on the instructions of wisdom, but they were not. They said it was translated from the presence of Saint-Martin by Amadou. So, I'm thorough. I went and I checked it. And what happened was at the section, I think it was section 50, we'll look it up right now, 65, they left off. And there are additional sections that Amadou included in the instructions of wisdom. So that is included in this book. I went and got the presents, and then that's included in this book as well. Now, there's another text in the presents that no one has talked about, and that is the suite of instructions on another plane. So that is included as an English version. It's basically a catechism. And what I think it is it's a capping catechism that Saint-Martin did on all of the catechisms that were available to him. There's another catechism, the Essay on Matter, that is available in this book. Another catechism from R8018. Now, my French isn't very good, so it's called On the Soul, Sur l'Homme. I think that's how you say it. But Sur l'Homme, which is kind of like the envelope, I believe, is what they called it in a lot of the Martinist studies from the traditional Martinist order. And then what I did is I wanted to give everybody values. So I included in Cohen instructions a text that was not available which is the new man. So not only are all of those Cohen texts included, but new man. And what new man is Saint Martin's basic evolution of the spiritual substance of l'homme, man or womankind, and that is included with prefatory remarks from Remy Boyer, saying that Ecce Homo, man of desire, the new man, and man his spiritual ministry should always be available. So I wanted to make these available for free. You can go to the academia.edu site to get ones that you can't buy that aren't copyrighted. So those are available to you. I did Man of Desire and New Man. Um, the Le Nouvel Homme. Like I said, not good at French saying, but I can get it read and do have a human translator that's done the editing on everything. So I redid the text based on the suggestion of the individual to redo it. And so that has Amadou's sections on it, which I sectioned out, the new man. 69 or 70 sections, and you can go through and read it. So that is a book I am very proud of, even though it was my very first and it needed some assistance. That was Cohen Instructions of Saint Martin. And I did call them the teaching text, but I got feedback on that. Like, don't call your book the teaching texts. Anyway, thank you for your contributions to the Patreon, and thank you for purchasing books from Chem Publishing. We're really working on something special here. Keep up the great patronage, because that is what is going to get us to this new goal that we're working on, which is the $2,600 to get the new journal to us, so we can start publishing it in English to you for the very first time in history. Thank you.